The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Whoops, forgot to bring us back on stage. All right, Versus Live, folks. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Gozilla Media. My name is Ron McCarthy. I'm one of your hosts, and to my right is a man who is kind of reeling from Sunday, and I think he was a guy who called the play that led to the pick six by the Packers, Dustin Henry. Dustin, what's going on tonight?
I did. I still feel bad about it. I phoned it in to Mike McCarthy. I told him, hey, just like the rumors in the that Al Davis used to be calling the plays from the owner's box in the early 2000s. I did the same thing to Mike McCarthy. It wasn't his fault. Now, I can't control that Dak threw that ball, but but I'm doing all right. We had to shovel a little bit. We had to snow blow. We had a little snow here today, but we are committed to you. We're ready to talk some football. How are you, sir?
That's right. Unlike some other sports shows, we don't think our audience is stupid. So we love our audience and we're committed to them.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I had received some rough news today. I want to send my condolences to the guys at Craft Brewed Sports. They lost one of their cast members over the weekend, Cesar. So we want to give Drew, Scott, and Mike. I give their condolences. My condolences to them and prayers up to Caesar's family. We're thinking of them. They're on the same time as we are, but I'm just thinking about them today because they're going through they're on live right now. They're going through the motions, and it's rough.
Geez.
It's rough to lose a member of somebody, somebody you love and a member of your family. So we just want to send all the love and prayers to you guys, and also to Cesar's family, and just let them know we're thinking of them.
Yeah, of course. Condolences. Very sad to hear that news, and I can't imagine trying to do a show today under the circumstances. So best of luck to him.
Yeah,
and show your support.
Yeah, I mean, I got one tab. I got our show, and I got another tab. I got their show. So I'm kind of looking along and seeing those guys are it's a little rough right now, but hey, that's a part of life, and we just want to send the best we can do is just come alongside them and say, hey, we support you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Before we get into what we're going to talk about with tonight's show, we do need to remind you about our social media channels down here below: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. And please, I want to remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media channels. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast. Rate and review. 5-star rating would be great. Leave a review. We might even read it on the air. And, I'm going to forgo the... actually, you know what? Let's brighten our spirits a little bit. We're going to play that sound because this is a live show. We want you to engage with us. We want you to send us some comments. And, we're going to play this. This one's for Caesar. This one's for Cesar. We're going to play this sound just for him. All right, so we're going to lighten things up a little bit with some football talk. I'm going to sum it up and say that this super wild card weekend, it was not so super.
I have to agree with you. With the exception of one game,
Yeah.
None of them were very close. And, the best part of Saturday's games was the company. I'll just say that.
Hey, no, I appreciate. Again, we appreciate you having us over for being a great hospitable host and making pizzas, and just being a great host. And I keep saying to myself, I gotta return the favor sometimes. So yeah, I feel a little guilty on not having you guys up to my house, but it's but it's always fun to just hang out with friends with people you like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, of
have
course.
some fun.
And knowledgeable sports talk. Love talking sports on the couch. Everybody knows what they're talking about. Everybody who comes to the wild card weekend, a big fan of their teams. A little bummed my buddy Derek couldn't make it, but glad that he wasn't around to witness that Dolphins loss in our company. He is a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, I would have sat there and laughed while I would have drank his tears, not to say the least. But let's talk about this weekend's action. We'll talk about Cleveland at Houston. That was the early Saturday game. And Dustin, let me get some of your thoughts about this game.
Well, first off, this game was kind of a surprise because I think we both thought, if I may rewind to last Saturday, I thought this was going to be more of a defensive battle.
Yeah.
But it was not. It's set up like it was looking like it was going to be a shootout. Now, full disclosure, I was wrangling some pizza dough, so I did miss some of the early parts of this game, but I think it was 17-14, and I was thinking, oh man, this is gonna be a barn burner. And then all of a sudden, Joe Flacco turned into a pumpkin. Now, Joe Flacco, the run that he had coming off the couch, we have to take our hat off to Mr. Flacco. He was leading, coming in and relieving Deshaun Watson at quarterback at all the experiments that the Browns tried at quarterback after Deshaun went down. Joe Flacco brought some much needed stability to that team. However, the wheels kind of came off on Saturday. First of all, the Texans' run defense, which was much maligned, and Jonathan Taylor ran all over them the week before.
Yeah.
They rebounded pretty well because I believe they held the Cleveland Browns to, I have it in my notes here. I took it down. Let's see, how many yards? 56 total rush yards. That is an abysmal total for rush yards. And Joe Flacco threw 2 interceptions. One of the throws was just awful. I don't know if it was a miscommunication or I don't know if the Texans DB jumped the route. But they were all over that one. And Devin Singletary, he's got a firm hold on that running back job. And he wasn't fantastic in this game. He had one long run of 25 yards. He had 79 total yards and a touchdown, but he did enough to give the Texans some balance on offense so that the Cleveland Browns just couldn't key off on CJ Stroud. And I want to get your thoughts, but before I do, I just want to say CJ Stroud is a star in this league, and he continues to prove it every single week.
Yeah. We talked about it on Saturday. We thought it was going to be a defensive struggle. It had the potential to be a defensive struggle. And early on, you see Cleveland get a score. Actually no. You see. I think Cleveland went on they punted the ball first. Then the Texans got a field goal. Cleveland responded with a touchdown. Houston responded with a touchdown. Cleveland responded with another touchdown, and Houston. That's my what's going on? I feel like a liar. I feel like a liar, and thinking to myself, all right, it's gonna be a defensive struggle, and it's like all of a sudden it's 17-14. I'm going, I suck at prognostication. I can't do that job. How do these analysts do it? And then I kind of had a feeling that things were going to go sideways when CJ Stroud threw that beautiful touchdown to Dalton Schultz to put them up 10 before halftime. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, one of two things is going to happen. Either Cleveland's going to Cleveland's going to try to Cleveland's going to try to get things going again because they've been known to do that this year. They came to Baltimore when Joe Flacco came back to Baltimore for the first time since he got. I think it was one of the first times since he got released by the Ravens or was traded or was or no, he was a free agent when he went to Denver. So it's the first time he came back to Baltimore and rallied the Browns to beat the Ravens. I thought, hey, this Joe Flacco magic could continue. And a lot of hardcore Cleveland fans out there. I don't know if any of them listen to our show or watch our show, but there's a sense that it could be a comeback. On the other side, I thought to myself, all right, Houston is one defensive stand and one touchdown away from just blowing this game open. And not only did we get one taint, that's touchdown and interception. We got two of them. We got two of them in consecutive drives, and Houston made all the right adjustments. They made all the right adjustments. The defensive, the front seven got to Joe Flacco, made him throw that egregious throw, which got taken back for a taint, for a touchdown and interception. And I think that was the biggest difference in that game was just those two defensive touchdowns, which basically broke the game wide open. And as you mentioned, Dustin, D'Amico Ryans says that CJ Stroud doesn't wilt in big moments, and he was absolutely correct. I got stat line right here: 16 of 21 for 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and again, including that beautiful touchdown pass to Dalton Schultz to end the first half. I think the Texans. I'm going to go out on a limb here. There's a little preview for Saturday. I think the Texans offense has that ability. I think they can give the Ravens defense fits next week. I think they have that.
Yeah, I could see a scenario where that happens. I mean, we'll get into more on Saturday. The Ravens are going to be a tall task for anybody, I think. But with the way these playoffs have started, and we'll get into it shortly, anything is possible.
Yeah. No, it's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Playoffs. Yeah, it's the playoffs. And the playoffs are a different animal. And I guess one side note here before we move on to the next game, before we move on to the nightcap, we got to know, I think it was the first time that a national audience was introduced to Noah Eagle. He's the son of Ian Eagle, who is a great announcer in his own right. But he gives me, and I know, Dustin, you this is your arch enemy in terms of broadcasting. I said this at your house too. I said he gives me Spiro Dides vibes because he doesn't sound as enthusiastic as his dad, and his announcing style feels more like he's just doing a chore rather than being passionate about it. And that's why I absolutely hate when kids follow their dads into the booth, like Joe Buck. We give Joe Buck a lot of flack. I mean, people have given Joe Buck a lot of flack for years, but I'll say this. I think Joe Buck has gotten better over the last, I'd probably say 6-7 years. He's a lot more enthusiastic. He's a lot more passionate. I don't know what kind of kick-started his I don't know, him being more alive in the booth. I would also say the same about Noah Eagle. You know, he's not as enthusiastic as his dad. And Mike Golick Jr., I don't know why he's there. You know, I know he got started at ESPN. He was an intern. He played at Notre Dame like his dad did. And after his playing career was over, he's like, "Oh yeah, come on board at ESPN." And then I guess he's with either FanDuel or DraftKings now. I can't remember which where he's at because he was part of the ESPN layoffs a few years ago for ESPN Radio. So, but it just seems like I hate the nepotism that's in broadcasting. And it doesn't sound like this is not a complaint. This is just an observation.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't forget about Jack Collinsworth, who we would see more of during the Chiefs-Dolphins game.
Jack Collinsworth looks like he should play a villain in a movie. The slick back hair and the beard, not the scruffy beard. Oh,
I
gosh.
kind of agree on some level, though. I do not, though. I do not have the intense dislike that a lot of people have for Joe Buck. Um,
Like
he's
your
not
aunt?
at the. Oh yeah, she can't stand him. But I will say though, he when he was doing more baseball, because if memory serves, he was more of a primary. He was a baseball announcer on Fox
Yep.
with Tim McCarver, and I will say the reason this might be an unpopular opinion, but the reason I did not like that duo was because of Tim McCarver for me, not Joe Buck. Tim McCarver
Mhm.
was like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah,
He had a saying. He would always say,
yeah, he was the baseball equivalent of Billy Packer. That's who he was.
yeah. He would always
Cranky
say,
old, cranky old
"Yep,
guy. It's like, ugh.
yep." He was cranky, and anytime I heard those words, in my view, the first thing I wanted to say was, "I don't care."
There was a reason why Deion Sanders poured a bucket of ice over him in the 1992 after the NLCS in 1992. There was a reason,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
support
But
that.
I will say I will give McCarver some credit during that particular scenario when Dion said, "Where's McCarver at? Where's McCarver?" And McCarver just said, "McCarver's right here."
Yeah.
That takes some brass ones. I got to give him that.
True, true, true. All right, we're moving on to the second game, the nightcap of the Saturday doubleheader. Miami at Kansas City. I'll lead off with this one, and I had a sense that we talked about again. We talked about Saturday morning. I had a sense that the way the game ended is how it was going to go. I've been saying this all season. And I hate sounding like a broken record. And if the Dolphins get punched in the mouth, you punch them in the mouth early, they reel back, and they never recover. And that's what happened in this game. That's exactly what happened in this game. You can blame the frigid temperatures. Like, I get it's below zero. I get it. Blame the field conditions. I get it. But you play the game for a reason. And the Dolphins just straight got beat up. They got beat up by that defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, who we both
Yes.
said was going to brought them this far. They brought the Chiefs this far into the wild card, and I had that hunch going in, and they showed up. They showed up. Miami. They held Miami to only 13 first downs. The Dolphins went 1 for 12 on third down. They get held to 254 net yards. And Mike McDaniel, he can tell Dan Marino on the sideline, we're gonna break all your effing records. We're gonna break all your effing records. Fact of the matter is, the Dolphins won't win unless they get gritty, unless they get dirty. And it showed in this game. And the only real highlight in this game was Patrick Mahomes getting his helmet cracked to the point where he needed a new one.
Yeah.
And I remember the commentator saying basically that the reason why he was having so much difficulty with putting on the new helmet is because it was frozen. It was, and
Oh,
what happened, I guess they added some of his old padding from the old helmet to the new one to make it more
yes.
comfortable. But it was just the fact that his helmet was frozen. So great job to the Chiefs offense. I give the defense more credit for holding the Dolphins back, and
Yeah.
that's my view of this game. Dustin, what's your opinion on this game?
Well, much the same as yours. You got to give a massive tip of the hat to Steve Spagnuolo. He had his defense ready to play for this game, and he showed why he is. You know, we all remember his tenure as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, you can't argue with his credentials and his results. He's done a great job. He is a big part of the reason why the Chiefs are where they are right now, because, as we've mentioned before, the offense has sputtered a little bit by Chiefs standards. So, Steve Spagnuolo, big shout out to him. And the Dolphins, this was one scenario where we called it. We hit the nail right on the head. You particularly have been saying all season that the Dolphins, if you punch them in the mouth, they can't punch back. And we have both talked about how they have the markings of a finesse team. You put them
Yep.
on a team with an inferior team, they'll run them up and down the field. They'll destroy them. But, the big question I had coming out of this game, they made such a big deal of Miami wants to make a statement. They came out onto the field first. They want to show that the cold doesn't affect them. They played like the cold affected them. And the big thing, they had that one shot of offense where Tyreek Hill went and got that touchdown, but that was essentially it. Raheem Mostert didn't really do anything in the running game, and they just looked out of sorts, for lack of a better term. They could not figure out Steve Spagnuolo's defensive scheme, and they couldn't get anything going. And the big question that comes out of this game for me is, what do you do with Tua? Because he seems to have a little bit of a habit of kind of folding in these big games like this. He only had 199 yards for a pick and a TD. That is not going to get it done against the Kansas City Chiefs. If you want to go far, numbers like that are not going to get it done. So I'll be interested to see what the Dolphins do with the quarterback situation, because I believe I'm not sure if he's a free agent after the season, but I think he's in there. They have to make a decision whether to extend him, I think, soon.
They have a 5th-year option that they need to exercise, because he's here's the thing. I was listening to my buddies Levac and Gaz this afternoon. Shout out to Levac and Gaz. I do their sheets of accountability for their play of the day, just to help them out with make sure everything's on the level. And they were but I think it was either Levac or Gaz who was saying that the 2020 and 2021 draft quarterbacks seem to be a little bit snake bit when it comes to their evaluation. Tua was in the 2020 draft class. So, I mean, part of it is his development. Part of it is the fact that he was so oft injured last year with those 2 concussions. He was out for most of the year because they didn't know how to protect them. Then they finally figured out how to scheme and work to his strengths and his advantages. But yeah, the Dolphins are going to have to make a decision whether to. I think they'll extend him. I think they'll give him 1 more year to evaluate him, and then after that, I think they'll move on. I think they'll move on from him if they don't win out next year, because this was a year for them. This was the year for them to kind of take that leap forward and see where they're at in terms of whether or not they can win in the next couple of years. But yeah, I think the decision's going to be made, I think, after next year. I think he's going to break some records, sure, but if he doesn't bring him a title, because leading up to this game, they had the second longest drought for NFL playoff wins currently. Mm-hmm. And it may not changed. We'll get to that little thing called foreshadowing. It's a little thing called
yes. That's why you're an expert in the biz. And before we move on from this game, I just have to say one thing: Jalen Ramsey is not as good as he thinks he is. That is all. He always talks a big game, and is he good? Yes, but have I seen him get torched? Also, yes.
Yeah, he's not worth the money that the Rams paid him and then traded him away because they need the cap space.
Yeah,
we'll get to the Rams. We'll get to the Rams in just a few minutes, but before we do that, let's talk about Green Bay and Dallas, which was, I would say, one of the 2 big upsets of this weekend. Dustin, I'll lead off with you. Dustin, what were your thoughts about this game? We mentioned him on Saturday. We talked a little bit about Saturday, but I'll have you lead off with this one.
All right. Well, this is where, now I did not think the Cowboys were going to lose this game. I thought that the Packers would keep this game closer. I thought it would be a bit of a surprise, but I did not think the Cowboys were going to lose this game. I think I had them losing in the next round, not the wild card round. I had them losing then. But the one thing I did say, I said 2 things have to happen for the Packers to play well. Well, actually 3 things. I said, 1, the run game is going to have to get going. And Aaron Jones did that, 118 yards and 3 TDs. And we also both said that the Packers defense would have to play well. They did. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then the other thing I said could happen, I said if they follow the blueprint that they used to beat Detroit and surprise them on Thanksgiving Day, if they score fast and they score early and get the Cowboys on their back foot, they could win this game. And they must have heard us, because they came out and they executed that game plan to a T.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur, we know you're listening. We know you're a fan of the show. Big ups to give us some credit for giving you a strategy for Sunday's game.
Yeah,
but there was a reason why this game was featured on Sundays, because the Buffalo-Pittsburgh game got moved to Monday afternoon. And I gotta say, I'm kind of a fan of the doubleheader 3 days in a row, as opposed to a doubleheader Saturday, triple header Sunday, and one game on Monday. I like 3 doubleheaders in a row.
Yeah, I would like that too if I didn't have to work that Monday. That would make
we can get you a new job, Dustin.
Yeah, because I did not see a lot of the Steelers and Bills game. I saw a bit of it at the bowling alley, but I missed the start of it. I missed a lot of that game. Didn't get a chance to watch a lot of it. But this Cowboys game, all I'm going to say is Cowboys are going to cowboy, and Cowboys fans always get angry whenever we bring this up. But this has been their MO for years now. The days of the early 90s are long gone, and Dak's got to be better than that. The 2 interceptions he threw were bad interceptions, costly interceptions, and especially to begin this game. Dallas got punched early, and they struggled to figure out a way to respond for a while. CeeDee Lamb looked like CeeDee and Dak, a connection that had been so good for the majority of the year, looked totally disconnected, like they couldn't get on the same page. Tony Pollard couldn't really get the run game going. And my last thought on this game, there's 2. Jordan Love has officially made the leap. He looked good to start this game, and those rookie receivers, they might have something in what is it, Jaron Reed, I think, or Jalen Reed, their receiver there.
Reed,
Jalen Reed. This Packers team could surprise some people, perhaps this year and in the coming years. And Ryan, I'm hoping you can help me out here, but I think we might need to check on Dollar Store Usher today, because I bet you people are calling him and texting him and asking,
and paging him,
yeah, and asking if he's still that boys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Dollar Store Usher, man. Well, we talked about it on Saturday. We did note 2 things. We did note if the Cowboys jumped on the Packers early, it might be a blowout. We also mentioned the Packers defense would need to show up to keep the game close. The opposite happened. The opposite happened in this game. And before Cowboys fan could sit down and take the first sip of their Lone Star beer, it's 27-0. And 2 of those, and the reason why they were up that big, because Dak Prescott. Dak's going to Dak. Dak's going to Dak. Those 2 interceptions, they lead to 14 points. Actually, they lead to 13 points. I think the second touchdown, they missed the extra point. But it was shocking. It was utterly shocking how the Packers blew this game out of the water and did it early. And they kept and here's a difference between other teams. They kept their foot on the gas pedal, because however Matt LaFleur drew up the game plan offensively, they made that Dallas defense look absolutely silly. And we know how Dallas likes to get after the quarterback. They like to unleash Micah Parsons, make their secondary do the work. And there were times where the defense just looked absolutely lost. And all the Dak Prescott stands again, point to his stats: 41 of 60, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. A lot of those yards and a lot of those touchdowns all came in garbage time. All came near the end of the game where it's just stat padding time. And I noticed on Snowman in the Morning on Saturday, on Monday, we did a pre-recorded segment. On Sunday, we led into Monday. The only stats that should matter to Dak Prescott from now on are W's and L's. Those are the only stats that should matter. Not touchdowns. Not the fact that I'm not going to throw more than 10 interceptions this year. Good for you. You threw 2 touchdowns. You threw 2 interceptions in the first half of this match, which led to 14 points, which led to basically your downfall. And like you, Dustin, with the Raiders, with the Ravens a few weeks ago, I need to apologize to Packers fan. I gave you a lot of flack for how you treated Aaron Rodgers when he said he wanted to be traded to the Jets. I went on Aaron Rodgers. I went in the defense for Aaron Rodgers because he's my quarterback now. But
we need the TO clip. It's my quarterback.
It's my quarterback. But I gotta give him credit where credit's due. The Packers getting hot, and I know my friend Julie out there, our Lions fan, a resident Lions fan, Julie's out there. She'll begrudgingly agree, but the Lions got hot. The Packers got hot at the right time, and they're starting to show it. Jordan Love is a fun quarterback to watch, and the organization's faith in him is being paid off. After so many years of Brett Favre, they bring in Aaron Rodgers. They see him develop. Now they bring in Jordan Love, and you're kind of starting to see the growth of him. And it's just unbelievable that the Packers would have 3 quarterbacks, potentially 3 quarterbacks in the span of 3 different decades doing great, playing absolutely great. And fun fact for you, Dustin.
All right.
The Dallas Cowboys are the first team in NFL history to win 12 or more games in the regular season in 3 consecutive seasons and not reach the Super Bowl.
Oh man.
One of those. That is an incredible stat.
Yeah, we really got to check on Dollar Store Usher now. And and I will say this, okay? This is just a little bit off topic here. But this is another big game. It's another playoff game. How did Dan Quinn's defense do? You know, a lot. This is why I no shade on Dan Quinn, but this is why people are saying Dan Quinn's going to be the next Seahawks coach. Apparently, he's lined up for an interview, but this is why I have a case of the heebie-jeebies, because we've seen that Seahawk defense collapsed. That's part of the reason. We can talk about Pete Carroll's call on the goal line all we want, and ultimately that is what that game is remembered for. But let's not forget, the defense let the Patriots back into that game before all that happened. Then we have the Falcons. Now we have these Cowboys defenses who at times looked fantastic this year. It seems to be a pattern now in Dan Quinn's defense. Maybe a little bit of that Cowboys non-Jerry magic got on him. Who knows?
Well, I'm going to say this. I mean, the Patriots with Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator, look, they allowed 41 points to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Still got him a job. I know, Julie, our resident Lions fans, I know I'm saying a dirty word. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry to say a dirty word. I don't bring back bad memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about the last 3 games in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a visit to the comment section. It's a crowded room. We got a crowded room tonight, Dustin. Lots of comments in the comment section. We got lots of viewers on YouTube. We got a couple of viewers on Facebook and on Twitter. So if you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter and you're watching, jump in the comment section. We got a bunch of them right now. Dr. Lady Esquire says, "Sports ball." Got our first. Wonka the Sane, not my business, but that guy Saturday morning who said Browns Ravens could meet in a conference championship should be fired. You're fired, Wonko. Fired. Sorry, let me say this right. You're fired.
We'll get. I don't know who this person is, but we'll get him a nice severance package.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna find out who did this. I just need a hot dog costume. And
Yeah.
we're gonna find out who did this. Brother Josiah says, "What a great way to start the evening with Ryan and Dustin." Josiah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And Sapna with her obligatory sports ball and the pink hand emoji. Julie Smith, our friend Julie, Michigan Julie, saying "Go Lions." And another sports ball comment.
Lions.
And another sports ball comment. Another sports ball comment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sports ball's firing off in the chat.
Sports balling, baby. Woo! Let's go. Wonka the saying coming back saying my least favorite announcer, Troy Aikman. What a homer. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have to. Yeah, I think he's definitely a homer. He's definitely got that. Definitely got that soft spot for them Cowboys.
Yeah, them boys. Which that halftime segment, I'm sorry, but that halftime segment where they tried to have Jimmy Johnson make a speech to rally the team, and then Michael Strahan got into his defensive stance and started trying to run. That was awful. And at the risk of sounding like a curmudgeonly old man, can we just say that Rob Gronkowski, it's not working? He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Eli Manning. Get him off the commercials. It's not funny. That's it.
We continue. Rich says KC knew Miami was in trouble when they walked in, but look what you made them do. Rich, get out.
Oh man,
get out.
Some T-Swizzle.
T-Swizzle. Brandon saying Ryan's beard is what I'm jealous of. LOL.
Oh, there you go. He works hard to keep it nice looking.
That's right. Julie says I predicted Miami would lose because they can't handle the cold. Yeah, amongst other things, they can't handle the cold. Rich says Tua is soft. Is it SOWFT soft or just SOFT soft? Thick Diggy, all the way from Norway. This is an international affair, Dustin.
Yeah, we got everything going tonight.
Friend of the show, Sick Diggy, saying greetings, folks. Greetings, Sick. What you drinking tonight, bud? Because he always asks me whenever he sees me in the chat for Snowman's show. He always asks me what coffee I'm drinking for the day, and I just want to ask you the same thing, Sick. What you drinking? Rich asks a good question: is Dion going to Dallas? No, because and I tell you why. Because I think he wants to complete his mission first. Because Colorado is going. We're talking college ball now. University of Colorado, they're going back to the Big 12 next season, and I think he wants to accomplish a national title before he even considers moving on to the NFL. And Dustin, I know as a big Buffaloes fan, you want to see that happen.
I do. You know, Coach Prime, it's got to get it done.
Julie says hated having to root for the Packers, but I'm so glad they spanked the Cowboys. Yes, I'm still bitter. Rich coming in with the player haters ball. Hate.
Silky Johnson in the comments here.
Now, if you excuse me, I gotta put more water in Buck Nasty's mama's dish. That's one of my favorite bits.
Oh, it's a good one.
My gosh. We'll get to a couple more comments. Wonka the saying Dallas being overrated enters year 33. My God, I feel so old.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Man. And Six says, Ryan doesn't need to be crying. Aaron Rodgers is giving him too many facial gray hairs as it is. Or gray facial hairs. Not yet. Because I've only seen him play.
You haven't had a chance.
I've only seen him do 4 plays. Last comment before we take a commercial break from Sick Diggy. It's 2:40 a.m. over here. I could use a glass of dark chocolate almond milk. Ooh, that sounds great. Oh, also Wonka says, awesome to see a crowded chat room. Hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. Yes, I must remind people to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That would be awesome. So yeah, hit that like button. hit that subscribe button. We do appreciate you. We do appreciate everyone who stopped by tonight and whoever's watching on or who's listening on the podcast side. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna break down the rest of the games, and we'll tell you what's coming on the docket on Saturday. So you are tuned in to No Credentials Required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. That's right, folks. It may not be Christmas shopping season anymore because the 12 days of Christmas have unfortunately passed. Rats. But you can always get yourself some great seats at SeatGeek.com. Sporting event. I mean, find your favorite sporting event. NHL's in full swing. NBA's in full swing. NFL playoffs. Hey, baseball. Baseball starts in April. We're going to kick up our baseball coverage coming up in April. But it's not just sporting events. It's also concerts. It's also comedy shows, plays, musicals. If it requires a box office ticket, you can find it at SeatGeek.com. And when you get to we get to checkout, enter the promo code BellyUpSports, and you save $20 off your order of $50 or more. So go to SeatGeek.com. Again, Belly Up Sports at checkout, $20 off your order of $50 or more. Moving on to the Sunday night cap, the Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions. And I know our resident Michigan fan, Julie's listening and tuning in. We're talking about this game, and I gotta say this. I'll lead off with this one.
Yeah,
the Lions turn around. It is completed. And I know Lions fan will say it's not completed yet. We haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. Let's one step at a time. One step at a time. With the fact that the Lions turnaround is complete and showed in this game. I don't like how their offense played in the second half because of all the adjustments that Raheem Morris made as a defensive coordinator of the Rams. I thought he did a pretty good job. The Lions scored 21 first half points. And I think they should have scored more because of that ridiculous false start call, which was on a completely blatant offside. You could see that it was an offside call on 4th and 5. And the referees, I secretly think that the NFL and the referees hate the Detroit Lions. They call false start. Moves the Lions back 5 yards. They do that pooch kick, that pooch punt. It didn't make a difference for the Rams because I think that pretty much ended the half. But if that drive kept going for the Lions, I fully believe they're up 28-10 at halftime, and they're cruising. And we have another garbage game of all the games that actually no, I'm sorry, they're up 11. They'll be up 28-17 because it was 21-17 at that point. So I think if they score a touchdown, I think they're in cruise control. And they would have winning this game outright, rather than the fact that it turned out to be a 1-point win. But credit where credit's due also to Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, because his defense bent, but it didn't break. Rams got in the 20-yard, got in the gold zone, the red zone twice in the second half. Couldn't get a touchdown. Couldn't score a touchdown. Allowed field goals only. They scored only 6 points in the half. Lions only scored 4 points in the half, or 3 points in the half, but it really didn't make a difference. So full credit to Aaron Glenn and his defense. I also love the fact that Dan Campbell was rolling the dice. He saved rolling the dice during the game until at the end. He saved it until towards the end of the game, where after the 2-minute warning, it's 2nd down and 8, I believe, and he's got Jared Goff throwing the football. Finds him on St. Brown. They get 9 yards. And after that, The Rams burn their last time out. Couple of kneel downs, game's over. Game's over. And I need to have a conversation with Rams fan for a moment on Rams fan on social media, because after this game, during this game, after this game, they are still complaining about the Lions' physical nature and the no-call pass interference on Puka Nacua in the fourth quarter. Y'all are victims of recency bias. Y'all are victims of recency bias. Because let me point to you. The NOLA no call in the 2018 NFC Championship game, where the New Orleans Saints, they were driving for the game-winning touchdown, or what surely was going to be the game-winning touchdown, and they had that blatant pass interference call, and it turned out to be a no call, and it went towards that went in your favor, that went in your team's favor. It went up winning the game with a game-winning field goal. And what did you tell Saints fan back in 2018? You told them, get over it. Now I'm going to say to you, years later, get over it. Happy for Lions fans, Rams fan, you can go kick rocks. And I know the Rams you're gonna be like, well, look at this call. Look at this call. He's playing too rough. There's this pass interference. Look, you didn't say anything when that phantom false start happened, when it was blatantly offside on 4th and 5 in the second quarter, with nearly 2 minutes left in the second quarter. You didn't say anything about that. Get over it. Get over your recency bias. Remember your history. You've gotten some beneficial calls in the playoffs too. Get over it. It's football. Yes, I know the officiating has sucked eggs this year. We've talked about it numerous times on this program. I'm sure that people have talked about it numerous times on their podcasts or their sports shows. Yes, the officiating has sucked and needs to be reviewed this season. But you didn't get the calls you didn't get. That's football, baby. Get over it. Dustin, over to you. Over to you.
All that was running through my head while you were saying get over it is stop crying and moaning and pitching a fit. Get over it. Yeah.
Don Headley.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not going to break down the game any further than that, because I too have to just express how happy I am for the Lions fans and for the city of Detroit. They won their first playoff game since 1991. I was watching, full disclosure, I was talking to some friends virtually and hanging out while watching that game, so I had it on mute. I was watching it. But I was on pins and needles a little bit, because let me say this, but going into that game secretly, especially after the way the other games went up to that point on Wild Card Weekend, I said, give me one close game. And I had secretly hoped, and this is hard for me to say as a Seahawks fan, because I have no love lost for the Rams, but I wanted Matthew Stafford to play very well but lose in Detroit, because I wanted the Lions to win, but I wanted Matthew Stafford to do well, and he did. He did. The Rams were ready to play. They had been on a bit of a hot streak entering this game as well, much to my chagrin. They got a few wins over my Seahawks this year that really killed us. And, you know, it was a good game, went back and forth, but with you, every team is going to have calls that break their way over the course of a season. Don't try to take this away from Lions fans. Let them, and I too am proud of Dan Campbell, because he has gone for it. I have sat here on these very airwaves and gotten very angry with Pete Carroll, Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell most of all, because he just would pick the most inopportune times to have faith in his team. But I saw something on Instagram today that I had forgotten. Dan Campbell was a player on that 0-16 Lions team from back in the day, and now it all comes full circle, and he now leads them to a playoff victory as the coach of this team. And I believe he called it when they were on Hard Knocks few years ago, and people made fun of him, but everything that he said he was going to do, he has started to do at his time in Detroit. He is restoring the roar for Lions fans here. And I am very happy. And the last thing I'll say about this game is I was watching it, and after the game, there was a guy in the stands. This side made me laugh real hard. There was a guy in the stands. He had a poster, and it had a Super Bowl ring on it, and it said, "We went to Jared," and that just made me. That made me crack up. That made me crack up so good. And again, hats off to Jared Goff, because we all know the narrative. He was
Speaking of
cast
Jared.
aside. But the one thing that I have to say, it's just a small aside. I was a little disappointed to see that Matthew Stafford was booed coming out in Detroit. He gave everything to that city. You cannot complain about what Matthew Stafford did for you at QB. He played hurt. He played on a lot of bad teams. He gave everything he had. And he didn't, outside of when he started as a rookie and he had those injuries to start his career, Matthew Stafford did not miss many games for the Detroit Lions at all. He played his heart out while he was there. And so I was a little disappointed to see him get booed, but glad he played well in his return. But I am so glad that the Lions won the game.
Yeah. As we talked about, we and pretty much on cue, Julie has been lighting up the comments. Julie has been lighting things up. I do want to start with Dr. Lady, who says Stafford choking like any LA team in the playoffs. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. She also said, Julie says Detroit versus everybody. I like nobody can complain, but the refs help the Lions. Get the heck out of here. Sick Diggy says, yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles, Rams fan. Yep, I'm going to drink all your tears. I will drink all your tears. And I'm not even in a division. Look, I'm not even in the same conference or division as your team, but I will drink your tears because, look, you got your Super Bowl. Les Stroud said, F them kids, went all in and got a Super Bowl. You got your Super Bowl. You saw your team win the Super Bowl. Like, whatever. I mean, be proud of your Rams. Good for you, but whatever. Let's see what else. What else here? Oh, apparently she's the one Lions fan who did not want Matt Stafford to do well. She said, screw that guy.
And I feel differently.
Sick gave you a compliment, Dustin. Is it me or does Dustin look like Macaulay Culkin from this angle?
Well, Sick, I will have you know that it is not Macaulay Culkin who members of my family and others think I look like, but it is Kieran Culkin. If you look him up, he's from, I believe he was Roman in Secession. A lot of people are telling me Kieran Culkin's my doppelganger. So it's funny you say that. Apparently I have some strong Culkin genes up in here.
Well, you did have that. We just had that one viewer from Mexico say that you look like Elon Musk. So
yeah, that I don't know how to respond to that one, but the Culkin I can see. Culkin I can see. Yes, it did. It did. It's in the archives.
Moving on to the archives. Moving on to the Monday game, the afternoon game, which was Pittsburgh at Buffalo. My nephew, CJ Beast, was at that game. Oh, and Dr. Lee said Kieran Culkin is the kid who at went to bed in Home Alone. And it's true.
Yes. Fuller had too many Pepsis, yeah.
Fuller always has too many Pepsis, man. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. And again, my nephew, CJ Beast, he was at that game. He sent me a picture. I don't know if he had to shovel his way into the seat, but hey, whatever. Good for him. Got a chance to watch a playoff game. Hopefully someday I'll be able to do the same with the Jets. But anywho, Dustin, I know you missed this game a little. You missed parts of this game, but I want to get your thoughts on this game. What were your thoughts in this game?
This game pretty much went how I thought it was going to go. Buffalo jumped all over the Steelers early, and Josh Allen running the ball well in this game too. He had that touchdown run where he pretty much just went right up the middle and then flexed in the end zone, in front of Bills fans there. That was kind of a cool moment. And I will give the Steelers credit for battling back a little bit. They tried their best to fight back and stay in this game, but this was just, the Steelers were overmatched. The Steelers kind of limped into the playoffs, and it showed, because Buffalo, much like Green Bay, Buffalo's getting hot at the right time. Buffalo could do some things in the playoffs if they get it. Now, Josh Allen did a lot of Josh Allen things in this game, and like I said, he was able to run a little bit more. Kind of looked like the younger version of Josh Allen, who used to rely a lot more on his legs. And but I think part of that might have been conducive to the game conditions. Maybe it was part of their game plan. I don't really know. The defense, the Buffalo defense, looks to have kind of started to find their stride a little bit. Benching Von Miller seems to have paid off. They made a tough move, but they made the right move. And this game, like I said, this game pretty much, I thought Buffalo was going to win this game. If Buffalo lost this game, it would have been a monumental collapse after the momentum that they were riding in. And I mean, as we said on Saturday, you give Josh Allen, you give me Josh Allen versus Kenny Pickett, advantage Allen. Now, or not Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. Mason Rudolph started this game. Now, Mason Rudolph has played pretty well for the Steelers. He certainly has done better than Kenny Pickett did, or Mitch Trubisky did. That's right. Mitch Trubisky was originally the backup for the Steelers. But so credit to Mason Rudolph there, but the Steelers were overmatched in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the result we expected. Bills score in their first drive, force a fumble on the Steelers' second drive. They score immediately after getting the ball back. Before the Yinzers can sit down, they say, "What the hell?" It's 14-0. Then Josh Allen with that long run, 21-0. Steelers, to their credit, tried to stop the bleeding with a touchdown of their own at the end of the first half, and they put up a fight. They only allowed 3 points to the Bills in the third quarter. They score a field goal of their own. They get within 7. They get within 7 in the fourth quarter, but then the Bills put that nail in the coffin with 6:27 remaining, with that great catch and run by Khalil Shakir. If you missed, I mean, don't watch now. Don't watch now, but go back and look at the highlights. Watch that run by Khalil Shakir. He filled in nicely for Gabe Davis. With Gabe Davis being out, I don't know if he's going to be out the rest of the year or if he's just out he's just having some injury issues. But he's filled it in nicely for Gabe White. And then the Bills put the game away in the Steelers' next drive. Here's the most important stat of the day for me. Most important stat in my mind. The Bills had the ball for over 33 minutes in this game. And I always say, typically I say about 85 to 95% of the time, the team that leads in time of possession will always go on to win the game. And that's what the Bills did. They controlled the clock. They got first downs they need to. They got those big first downs in the fourth quarter, that touchdown drive that led to basically them just putting the nail in the coffin for the Steelers and ending their season. I don't know if you saw this, Dustin, but after the game, during the press conference with Mike Tomlin, a reporter started to ask. She says, "You've got a year left in your contract." And as soon as he heard that, he dipped.
I didn't see it live, but I heard about it, that he walked out mid-question.
I've got it bookmarked. Yeah. So let me see if I can get this going. Yeah. But yeah, it's just really, I found the question to be kind of rude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I sometimes as a reporter, I will say you got to ask the tough questions, though. And I guess I don't have as intimate knowledge of the Steelers, but I know that there has been talk of Mike Tomlin's future for a little while now in Pittsburgh. So I don't think it's a completely unreasonable question. Now, where I will agree with you is I think the timing is a little rough on that. Maybe wait a couple of days and not just jump on him right after a playoff loss. I will say that.
Yeah. So this is where she right after she asked the question, this is what happens.
Left on your contract.
Goodbye.
He's out.
He's gone. I'm out. I'm dipping. And I get it. I mean, I get it. But I guess the Steelers have come out and said, yeah, Mike's our coach. Mike Tomlin's our coach. And
yeah, I thought I had seen that.
Support him. Yeah, good on them to at least come out and say, yeah, he's our coach for at least. I mean, I figure at least one more season. He's got a year left in his contract. We'll see what happens afterwards. I think if they actually do go under 500 and miss the playoffs next year, I think he's done.
Yeah, it could be. That's been the sentiment for a while, that if he does go under 500, which love him or hate him, you got to respect his streak of non-losing seasons is very impressive in the NFL. In a league where I would argue is probably the league where there's the most parity. A team, I mean, look at the Texans. Look at the Texans, where they are now from where they were a short year ago. The jump can happen in the NFL, the shortest of any league, in my opinion. So that makes that streak all the more impressive.
Yeah, and think of it this way: when I talked about the Packers in the first half of the show, I talked about Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love having this success in three different quarterbacks over the last 30 years, and they had that sort of success. Pittsburgh Steelers, the same thing with their coaches. They go from Chuck Noll,
yep,
to Bill Cowher,
and
now Mike Tomlin. Any team. Like, teams would kill to have that kind of consistency. Consistency, and have only those three coaches over the last 40 years. It's ridiculous.
Well, and that's the thing too. You got to take your hats off to the Rooney family for this. They are patient with their coaches. They give them time, and look what it does. Look what it does, because a lot of owners. And I get it. If I was in their position, I'd probably feel the same way. But there's these owners that bring in these coaches, and you figure the first year, the coach probably doesn't have that many of his own guys, right? The second year, maybe the coach and the GM are starting to put their plan together. They've got some of the players that they want. They're trying to put their imprint on the team. And then maybe the third year, it doesn't go so well. Coach is gone. So nobody has time to build anything, and the Rooneys give their coaches time to build and implement their system and draft the kind of players that they want, sign the kind of players that they want. It's admirable, because I feel like a lot of times the knee-jerk reaction is to make a change, and the Rooneys have allowed their coaches to time to grow and build the teams, and it's gotten them remarkable consistency.
Yeah. Moving on to the last game of not so super wild card weekend. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, the Monday night game, and I'll lead off with this one. I said Saturday the Bucs had the best shot at an upset this weekend. I didn't realize how badly the Bucs would beat this Eagles team. And say what you want about Todd Bowles. He's a substandard game manager. He lacks charisma during his press conferences. He makes weird decisions at times. He was like that with the Jets. But you cannot deny the fact that when he's facing some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he comes up with the best schemes to beat them. And he did that in this game. And he made sure he sent the Wolves on defense to limit Jalen Hurts. They sacked him 3 times, including that one that resulted in a safety. They limited his scrambling and running ability. I think he only had 1 rush in this game, and it was for minimal gain. And they held the Eagles' running attack to 42 yards total. 42 yards. That's insane for a team that has benefited from a running game. What the heck happened to DeAndre Swift? Why aren't they using DeAndre Swift? I mean, this was crazy. This is crazy that the fact that to see what the Eagles have been doing the last 6-7 weeks coming into this game, and they just they just looked like a defeated team after this game. And we also got to give credit where credit's due. On the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield, 337
Yes.
yards, 3 touchdowns. And it wasn't so much Baker, but his receivers made the Eagles secondary look silly.
Oh yeah.
They looked silly. We had that one touchdown by I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Palmer. And that one second touchdown by Palmer where James Bradbury whiffed on that tackle harder than Ron DeSantis' chances in Iowa. It was just a bad whiff. I'm sorry to bring politics into it, but I had to explain it. But let's also give credit to the running game too, because not only did Baker ball out, but the Buccaneers running game also balled out. They had 119 yards on the ground. And
yes.
after this game, it left Eagles fans wondering if Nick Sirianni's either going to be gone or he's going to do some wholesale changes to the defensive staff during the offseason. Dustin, what's your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I will say, just to jump off of that point, something has to happen because this collapse, the Eagles started out 10-1, and then they finished up 11-6. That was their final record heading into this game, and then they lost this game. So technically, they're 11-7.
11-7.
It was a slide. It was a slide, and I will say I did not see the Packers beating the Cowboys coming. This one I saw coming. You said that the Bucs had the best chance to upset the Eagles. I agreed with you because you have pointed out, and you have more knowledge about Todd Bowles' defensive schemes than most due to his tenure with the New York Jets as their head football coach. Now, I am a Todd Bowles believer after this game. I believed in his ability to coach up a defense. We all know that he could do that. But I also watched his press conference after the game, and I'm going to tell you, the Bucs are a dangerous team right now because, as you said, their receivers played very well. James Bradbury had a rough game. Not only did he have that whiff that you mentioned, but Rachaad White ran right through him on one of his long runs. He just cracked James Bradbury, and I went, ooh, this is not good. And, and Rachaad White was in his face too. He came to play in this one. But Todd Bowles says, we knew we were underdogs coming into this game. We liked it. We relish in it. And he said, we know we're underdogs heading into the next game too. And I will say, I'm a little concerned because the Bucs are playing like a team that had nothing to lose. You can tell they already overachieved from where they thought they could go. They are playing extremely relaxed right now and have to take my hat off. Now, we all know the Jared Goff narrative. It's a great story how he was cast aside in Detroit, and he was just cast aside to Detroit, and nobody had any faith in him. They didn't think he'd be able to do anything, and he's done amazing things for the Lions. It's been great to see. But we have to say the same for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was cast aside by the franchise that drafted him after guiding the Browns to the playoffs for the first time in many years. He was cast aside like it didn't even happen. Oh, we're not sure if your shoulder's healthy. We're worried about your shoulder. The real reason was because they wanted to bring Deshaun Watson in, and they didn't do a great job of even trying to hide it. They cast him aside. He goes to Carolina, which he did not play good in Carolina. I'm infamous for making the prediction that I made. But the Carolina thing seems to be more of a franchise problem now. Seems like it might not have all been on Baker. I'm going to argue that it's a franchise type deal in Carolina because Baker has balled out. He's been a big reason why the Bucs are where they are. He's been a lot more than a bridge quarterback that they thought he was going to be until they could draft their guy. Maybe he is their guy. They're going to have to make a decision because he's played well enough to where they're going to have to go back to the table because other teams might be looking for his services. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch here. And I christened Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield the co-MVPs of Wild Card Weekend because you put the two of them together, they were magical. And like I said, Todd Bowles has his players playing relaxed, and he had them prepared to play. And on the Eagles side of this thing, I was talking to a coworker at work today, but I don't like to pat myself on the shoulder, but I got to do it sometimes because I've been wrong about so much. But I said after that Seahawks win, I said, you look at the Eagles' language on the sidelines, you look at their body language, they don't look good. Something is awry. And I was talking to a coworker today. She said a 30 for 30 is going to come out on this years from now because something happened in Philly. This collapse was crazy. And there's talk that either Nick Sirianni could be out or massive changes, like you said. And it's crazy. You got two NFC East teams that were considered juggernauts at certain points in the season, both with an early round playoff exit, and both there's a lot of questions surrounding their head coaches now.
Yeah, I saw Jason Kelsey reportedly mentioned to his teammates from the Eagles.
Yes,
mentioned to his teammates that he was going to be retiring. A lot of speculation on that. We'll find out from him. I want to get his word on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But Adam Schefter, towards the end of the game, wrote this on Twitter: Eagles key free agents this offseason. This is a long list, so get yourself a drink. You're going to be here a while.
All right.
Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, DeAndre Swift, Quez Watkins, Iosa Opeta. Forgive me if I said your name wrong, Mr. Opeta. Nicholas Moreau, Zach Cunningham, Shaq Leonard, Bradley Roby, Olamide Zacchaeus, Boston Scott, Marcus Mariota, Julio Jones, Jack Driscoll, Rashad Penny, Braden Mann. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 free agents this offseason. And there's some big names on this list. Fletcher Cox is not a small name.
No.
Shaq Leonard, who they signed for they got the club discount when he got shockingly released by the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
He was scarcely used by the Eagles for the rest of that season when they signed him.
Yes.
Same with Julio Jones, who I speculate is probably going to retire after this game, and he got a concussion in this game. Marcus Mariota, free agent. He was backup. He was signed as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, DeAndre Swift. That was the three-headed running attack for that team. They're all free agents.
Yes. And the other thing is, and I should have said during the game recap, Rashad Penny also signed. And at the beginning, when he was signed in the offseason, we're like, oh, man, this is an embarrassment of riches. You got DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny in the same backfield. But I will say, as a Seahawks fan, I have seen a lot of Rashad Penny. But there was something wrong with his fit in the Eagles organization because coming out of camp, there were rumors that he might not even make the team. And then he was a healthy scratch for many, many games, and they didn't use him at all. But they put him in this game. And they put him in one other game, too, where they were losing. So that's like the sign. When you see that Rashad Penny is in the backfield for the Philadelphia Eagles, it must be their sign that they're like throwing in the towel because they do not use Rashad Penny at all. No. And I hope he gets another shot somewhere because he had a lot of injuries in Seattle, but he had those couple of years where he ran really, really well.
Yeah. And it seemed like they were going Howie Roseman, I think deserves some of the blame for how things panned out towards the end of the season because I think he got desperate. I mean, we talk about him being a very good GM, and he's a very good GM. And an Eagles fan, be proud of what Howie has done over the last decade. He brought you a Super Bowl title, got you to the Super Bowl last year. But I think he deserves some of the blame because I think the Shaq Leonard signing was a panic signing, and I think the Julio Jones signing was a panic signing. And there was a reason why the Detroit Lions traded DeAndre Swift and sent him to the Eagles, but they picked up Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's worked out great for that team. He's been a part of the two-headed running attack along with Montgomery. So
David Montgomery's done very well.
Yeah, the Eagles, the Eagles have some big questions to ask themselves. They got to do some soul searching this offseason. Got to look in the mirror and find out where they're going, and who do they find out who do they keep, who do they let go. Do we build through the draft again? They're not going to rebuild. Certainly they're not going to rebuild, but I think they're going to find some way to retool some things. And having those 16 free, well, I would say 17 spots to fill between all those positions, and Jason Kelce retiring as well. One more visit to the comment section before we go. Dr. Lady Esquire saying when we mentioned about the Bills getting hot at the right time, he says getting hot, pun intended. I don't get it. Walk of the Saints saying hard to go backwards, but I'm not a fan of the expanded playoffs. Should be 12 teams in my opinion. I mean, the 4 divisions, having 4 divisions and 2 wild card spots. I think the third wild card spot was something the fans were asking for, and the league was trying to. I think it was a league move to, because money. Hello, more money, more one extra home playoff game for somebody. Or more money for one extra paycheck for the players. Sick saying Mike Tomlin needs a break, and he said he agrees with you with the Steelers. Says that's a key word, patience. Yeah. Dr. Lady Esquire again, too much Joe Buck again. Let me point you, Ms. Dr. Lady Esquire. I want to point you to ESPN2 and the Manning cast. The Manning cast is awesome.
Yeah.
They started last season with Eli and Peyton Manning. It was a little rough in the beginning, but they found their stride, especially this season with more games they had this year. And unfortunately, last night was the last Manning cast we'll have this season. So we'll have to wait till September. To get Manning cast back. Wise El Jefe. Hello, gentlemen. And of course, I have to pay. Now that he's checked in, I have to play.
Yes.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Thanks.
It never gets old. Good to have you here, Wise.
Our buddy Dave. Well, maybe buddy Dave. Go Pack, go. He also says big coxes. I don't know. He also asked Dustin, "How was your fantasy season?"
Oh,
Dave,
you know exactly how it went. You know how exactly it went. I had some players that didn't show up, but congratulations to you. Congratulations to you on the championship. But I finished second, and considering how the chemical toilet started, I was proud of how we ascended. We came together as a team.
Chemical toilets coming together as a team. Sick saying, "Oh, how the Eagles had little faith in Rashad Penny." Yeah, they certainly did. Wonko saying Cincinnati is an interesting spot for Penny to wind up. Dr. Lady Esquire says, as a Pats fan, I'm obliged to hate the Mannings.
So she's obligated to hate the Mannings. I mean, that I kind of get. You're going to side with Tom Brady every time. And I mean, Eli's.
Look, I had to live with Tom Brady killing my team every single year for better parts of 20 years. Now that he's away from the Pats and he's actually showcasing a personality, I've kind of grown to like Tom Brady.
Go, man.
I think
Ryan, you got to play the breaking news drop on that one.
Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Breaking news, folks. Breaking news from No Credentials Required. Post-retirement, I like post-retirement Tom Brady. That's your breaking news. Yeah, he's growing on me. But, if I can get over, look, Dr. Lady Esquire, if I can get over my Tom Brady hatred, you can get over your Peyton and Eli Manning hatred. It just takes some time. Dave says it was all my 11-year-old coworker. Yeah, co-owner. So, yeah, his oldest son is his oldest son was the co-owner of the team. She also says, "Yay, Tom has a new fan." Dr. Lady Esquire said. And we'll end with this comment from Wiesel Hefe. My Giants did end a perfect season. That's right, they did. 18 wins and one giant loss.
And just as a final piece of advice to Dr. Lady Esquire, first of all, love the name. Secondly, if you hate the Mannings and you want to see you want to see Peyton Manning with a oh crap moment, go back and watch Super Bowl 47 from 2014. And you can see the snap of the ball and the face that Peyton Manning makes as it hurdles into the end zone, and they open the game with a safety. So if you want to hate on Peyton, go watch that game and relive some memories with me, won't you? Because I don't know. I just got a feeling. I got to see what the directions the Seahawks go in, but could be a little bit before we get back there.
Yeah, and we'll end the show with this. Well, these two comments. Walker the saying, "Thanks, guys, great show," and Sick Diggy bringing us this commercial. This breaking news is brought to you by Chicken Wing James Skull Shaver. Forget the man unit and embrace the bald. Bald is bold and beautiful, folks. And on that note,
I don't think we can top that.
Thank you for being here. We can't top that. Thank you for being here, folks. Don't forget, as a reminder, to follow us on all our social media channels on Twitter, Instagram, and the occasionally use TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/ at NoCredsREQ. And just to remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. And I forgot to mention, Dustin, we did have a comment after the show had ended on Sunday, or on Saturday, excuse me.
Saturday.
And I'm trying to find the comment. I'll try to find.
And while Ryan is searching for that comment, I would like to remind everybody in the chat right now, if you enjoyed this show, which we enjoyed having you here, don't forget about our Saturday show. As I once said while I was adorned in a Christmas onesie with bells on it, let the brunch flow through you.
Yes.
We're going live, Ryan, at 10 o'clock, I would say, 10 o'clock Eastern
10
time?
o'clock a.m. Eastern, yep.
Yeah, join us for brunch, won't you? We'll have coffee. It'll be a great time.
Yep, indeed. I'll read that comment on Saturday.
All right.
On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast, rate and review. Please give us a 5-star rating. And also, if you're on a platform where you can review the podcast, review it. We might even read it on the air. And if you're watching on replay on Rumble or on the Belly Up YouTube channel, please leave us a comment. And again, we might even read it on the show. You have tuned into No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Gozilla Media. Thanks for joining us. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll see you guys on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, and for the very last time this season, we're going to go out. We're going to ask that question that everyone has been asking. And this is a tribute to Caesar because he was a Cowboys fan. Are you still them boys?
Ain't nobody calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, are you still them boys? Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Woo, oh, shut up, my boy. I'm still them boys. Oh, I'm still I'm still the boy. Yeah. I'm still the boy. Yeah.